Good morning. Good morning. Actually, afternoon now, huh? Hello, hello, hello. Gonna wait just a second. Let people jump on. Hello, hello. Happy Monday. Hold on a second. Give you this link. All right. Jump on. Say hello, my friends. Trust the process. Stole my son's hat. This is Keaton's hat. But he's out of town, so I took it from him. All right. There we go. Now I see some people jumping on. Hello, my friends. Hey, Kim, I just saw your email. Hello, hello. I see Jen and Tina. I know, isn't that cute? It's Keaton's hat. I can't remember. I don't know where he got it or who gave it to him. But he's talking my language. Your kids listen. Miss Jolene. Hello, darling. Hello, hello. All right. So first and foremost, we have, what's the date today? Thursday is when the doors close for Spirit School, and they probably won't open again until next year. So if you are guided, please join us. It is my online community. Tonight, if you're a Spirit School member, it's for Spirit School members only. Our class is on witch wounds, and I'm going to be doing some clearing around that, which I'm super excited about. Love doing the witch wound class. So if you are new in Spirit School, make sure you can log in. Make sure that you know where to go and have the link. And if you don't, make sure you reach out before 6 p.m. Don't reach out at 6 because I can't help you then. Reach out before 6 so I can help you. Okay. Actually, most people, we've had a couple snags, but most people have been able to get right in, see where they need to go and all that kind of stuff. So just let me know if that is not working for you. Okay. But Spirit School doors are open for just a few more days. Also, when you guys come on my lives this week, don't forget on the email. Oh, I should put that link up too. Hold on a second. Let me find it. If you have signed up for our tricks and treats and are on the email for that, here it is. We are going to be sending out the prizes on Friday in the email. And one of the grand prizes is a full year-long membership for Spirit School. And if you're already a member, we will just refund you for when you signed up. If you're a new member, or if you're an old member, then from when your membership is done, then we will give you a year free. Okay. But we have all sorts of lots of prizes. Not just Spirit School. We have all sorts of fun little things. There we go. Sign up here for the prizes. I've had all sorts of calls already today. I'm already losing my voice. Okay, friends. So I thought today we would do just a little touch base on boundaries because we are in the midst of politics season. We are in the midst of holidays starting. We are in the midst of just kind of a wild world. So I thought to bring it up and bring in some reminders for people. How many of you are really good with boundaries? Like you have really good boundaries, you're really clear with them, you don't have problems with them. And then how many of you are learning to have good boundaries. I would bet most of you are on that side. That's definitely my side. Learning good boundaries. Give me a little feedback in the comments. Where are you with boundaries? Getting stronger with them. It's a learning experience. Isn't that the truth? Learning. So learning to have boundaries. I know. I think we're all learning, honestly. I do know some people that really have amazing boundaries. And I always keep an eye on them because I want to, if I see it in somebody else, I have it in me. That's actually a good personal boundary. If I see good or bad, I see it in them, I have it in me. And so when I'm learning something, I try to find inspiration in other people that are already doing what I'm learning. So I have a few people that, man, they have great boundaries. And so I kind of watch them and learn from them because I'm like, oh, if I see it, I have it. I know that. I've just always known that. I just sometimes need to learn. Okay. So that's number one trick is if you want something, find people in the world that are already doing it and then watch how they do it because they can teach you how they're doing it. And oftentimes those people probably have something similar to you. And so you can be inspired to do things the way they do things. That's been a big trick for me over the years. Good point, Karen. She said, the older I get, the stronger I get. Yep, me too. And here's the other thing that I feel like this helped me with boundaries. The way I look at boundaries is the boundaries are not for the other people. The boundaries are for me and my well-being. It's my responsibility to hold my boundaries. It has nothing to do with the people that I'm putting the boundaries up for. It's not their job. It's my job to hold my boundaries. And if I set a boundary, then I need to stand in my boundary. And that actually changed my mindset about all of it because I would set boundaries and get pissed because people were stepping over my boundaries. Well, that's their job. It was me who wasn't standing up to the boundary. And to me, that made more sense and gave me more control, I suppose, emotionally, because it's my boundary. And so it's up to me if I stand in it or not. It's a choice. I can choose to stay in my boundary or not. I had an email this morning and this woman had contacted me and she's pissed at me because I'm not taking her on as a client. And she was bitching in emails and just being rude. And I was like, nope, not my kind of client. I have a no asshole rule. No, thank you. And then she had someone else email me about it. And I was like, nope. No, now you're doing it. And they were mad because I didn't refer her to somebody else that does my work. And I'm like, why would I refer somebody that's so rude to me? Why would I offer that to anyone else that I know? Like, that's a bad referral. And they're both pissed. And I'm like, I'm sorry that you don't like me. Not everyone is going to like me. And I think that's important. A few years ago, I would have bent over backwards for that person and not got paid for it, not worried about my time or energy I put in. I would have been upset about it the whole time. I'd have been resentful about it the whole time. It would have been a total mess. And I would have just taken it. And I don't have to. It's because I'm spiritual. Doesn't mean I don't have good boundaries. And it doesn't mean that people can bitch at me through my email. No. So not everyone is going to like you and not everyone's going to love you, especially the ones you think should love you and like you. And I think that was really hard. I think it's really hard to know people don't like you. I think that's really, I just think that's hard. And I've always struggled with that. And it's one of those things where now I'm like, I'm sorry you don't like me and that sucks and it still doesn't feel good. but I also don't want that drama. No, thank you. No, thanks. I live a pretty drama-free life. Eli and I are pretty drama-free. My kids are pretty drama-free. Doesn't mean that we don't have our shit, because we absolutely do. But we also are really mindful who we bring in our world. And that's probably been the best thing for my family, is that we set up some boundaries and we started to create things that worked for us. And we don't do a lot of things that we feel obligated in doing. I don't do obligation. As much as I can. If someone makes me feel obligated, I'm like, yeah, that's a no. That's a no. And I think learning to have boundaries, and that it's okay for people to be angry with you, because they get angry, trust me, and they talk shit behind your back, and those aren't people I need, right? Yep, Jen said that's a very good lesson to learn. Not everyone has to like you. You have to like yourself. That's the other key piece, is you really got to learn to be your own friend. Because I can stick up for a friend like nobody's business. I can also stick up for a client like nobody's business. I can stick up for a stranger like nobody's business. It was really hard to learn how to stick up for myself. Really hard to stick. And I was like, okay, wait a second though. If I'm my own friend and I got to learn to love myself, why wouldn't I stick up for myself? Right? Isn't that interesting? Good point. Tina said, it's hard for me to determine if I'm being bitchy or holding a boundary. Both. It's okay to be bitchy, ladies. It's okay. People will talk about you. They will tell you you're a bitch. I have lots of people over the years that have called me a bitch. And lots of them are family. And yep, I am. But I'm also holding my mental health in a good space. I've had friends that I'm not friends with anymore call me a bitch. Like, I don't care. Just because I hold a boundary, you want to think I'm a bitch, you go ahead, because I have thoughts about you too. I'm just nicer than that. So I do think sometimes it's okay to be a bitch. Or you call it something different. I think sometimes it's okay to be strong for yourself. You can call it strong. You can call it being a bitch. Whatever you want. That's good. Wanda says, I've learned to say, may you have health, may you have happiness, and go in peace, but goodbye. Yep. I like that. Become your best friend. 100% I would stick up for my besties, right? It's really easy to do that. And I noticed that, like, I'll never forget this. There was this older gentleman at Kmart long ago. And I could hear him asking the employee a question. It was the employee. This old man, or this man, was asking this older employee a question, and the employee didn't know the answer. He needed to go ask somebody, and the guy just railed on him. And I was in the aisle next door, and I was like, nope, and I went around and I was like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is a store. This is not life and death. This isn't something, like, you have no right to treat him that way, because the guy didn't think anyone else was around. And I had no problem doing that. And I left, and I was like, I never do that for myself. Ever. I never would stand up for myself that way. So I had to learn to start telling people what I need, telling people what I want. I don't need my opinion heard. I used to, but I just find that often brings in a fight I don't need to have. So I don't need that like I used to. I'm a Leo, so I like to have my opinion heard. But I'm pretty careful who I tell my opinion to, because a lot of times that's my boundary. If I speak up right now, is that messing with my well-being? Yes, it is. So my boundary with myself is to keep quiet. And I'm not a keep quiet. I have a mouth. And so I think it's really interesting to watch myself in certain situations. And there's lots of situations I would like to speak up, but my boundary is if they can't hear me, I don't need to speak up. It's just a waste of energy and it just starts a fight. And if people can't hear me, they're probably not super close people in my life. First of all, they're probably people that I think I need to convince of something. I don't need to be convinced, nor do I need to convince anyone else. Do I want to sometimes? Of course. I'm human. Of course I do. Doesn't help though. What's the point? I'm learning to set boundaries. I've been there where I've spent my energy and time. I got nothing in return but resentment, right? I've done that more in the last year, not worrying about what someone else thought. I like assertive. Yep. And I'm really good about not allowing peer pressure. Yep. Had to learn to advocate for myself. Super hard to keep boundaries with authority like doctors. See, and I actually, this is funny. It's not a funny story, but it's a funny story. I actually have more issues with authority. And like, it's much easier for me to talk to someone in authority than like normal people. And I took my dad to the doctor one time. And this doctor came in, the nurse was in the room, and the doctor came in and he oh God, he was so arrogant. And he had cowboy boots on and a belt, and you could just tell he liked to be in control. And he asked my dad what he was doing here. Well, my dad had dementia. He didn't remember what he was doing there. So I was explaining it, and he was just kind of staring at me. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to need you to actually talk to me. My mom's not here right now, so you're going to have to talk to me. And this is why we're here. This is who told us to come here, blah, 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 blah. And he tried to get really like talk down to me, like condescending. And I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like, no. I was like, no, you're not going to talk to me that way. I'm not playing this game. This is why we're here. This is what we're looking for. I'm not looking for miracles. We're looking to keep him, where he's at, blah, blah. And I just told this dude off. I just had no patience for it. And I just told him off. And his nurse was behind him, and she had to cover her mouth because she was snickering. And it was so hilarious. And my dad's just looking at me, and I'm like, sorry, Dad, but like, I just don't have patience for this. Like, just because you're a doctor doesn't mean you get to talk down to me. Like, whatever. And then my mom came in, and I had to leave. So we were kind of tag teaming. And as I was leaving, I heard him say, boy, she's a firecracker. And the nurse said, yeah. And she talked to you the way everyone should talk to you. And it was hilarious. And after my dad passed, he became my mom's doctor. And he calls her on the phone at home and takes such good care of her. And it was because I'm sure that I just railed on the dude. So I do think that learning how to speak up for yourself is really important. You don't have to be obnoxious and bitchy like me. You can do it very kind, very nicely. That takes a little practice for me. But I do think the boundary piece is what helps us maintain our energy. But the boundary is for us, not for them. Okay? Wanda said, my energy would be drained if I tried to save the world. Too many people needing saving. Wait, watch, listen, become a gladiator if I need to be. Yep, I stopped saving people too. So Kimberly says, sometimes it's hard for me to discern between using my voice and knowing my audience and not saying anything. My question to myself when I'm trying to discern that myself is anyone in the room hearing what I have to say? If they're not hearing me, it's not the right audience to be heard. Does that make sense? Because sometimes there's someone in front of me and they're like, I'm listening. And I'm like, yeah, you're really not. So we'll have this conversation later. And I don't get into a lot of confrontation at this point anymore. I used to get into way more. But I don't have that very often anymore. But if there's something going on and someone's not able to hear what I have to say, I'm not going to waste my energy. I'll just try again a different time. Like it could be in an hour, or it could be, you try to talk to your kids when they're mad at you. It's not going to work. Try a different tactic and don't say anything. because sometimes people just need to be heard. And if you ever been in arbitration, that's what they do, is they listen fully to one side, and then they listen fully to the other side, and they let them get all that energy out, all that argument, all that resentment, all that anger, all that grief, all of the psycho freak out stuff. And then they try to come together in some sort of agreement. But sometimes people just need to be heard. They don't want to be saved. My other rule with that piece too is if they're not asking, I'm not offering. And for me, that's a pretty strict boundary, because I always try to save everybody. And 99% of the people never ask me to save them. They're not asking. People that want to make changes, people that want to grow, people that want to expand, they're asking for help. They're asking for tools. They're showing up to classes. They're showing up to this kind of stuff. They're reading books. They're getting therapy. They're doing all these things. Those are the people that you're like, hey, I've noticed that you're taking a lot of classes. How's that going? Hey, you know what I learned? If you're interested, I'll tell you my story. And then sometimes they're like, yeah, I don't really need that story. All right, I'll just listen. I have a girlfriend, and we're very blunt with each other. And I was really angry, and I was like, I don't need you to save me, and I don't need any solutions, because she's really good at that part. I was like, I need you just to take me out for a drink, let me bitch for like a good half hour, and then not talk about it again. And she's like, all right, let's go. And she just listened. And it was much longer than a half an hour, but she didn't need to fix it. And she's a fixer. So I had to tell her, I don't want you to fix this. I just need someone to listen to me for an hour or half hour or whatever you need. And then I'm going to be done with it. So it's not an every day going out to bitch about it. It's just this time I need this. Thank you very much. Because I hold some boundaries with that too. I'm not going to sit in my shit forever anymore. If I have something, I'm like, all right, I need to talk about this. And then I'm going to work on letting it go. Sometimes I need a couple hours. Sometimes I need a couple days. But my boundary with myself is I'm not going to continue the same story over and over, because then I go into my victim and my martyr energy and, oh my God, nobody loves me, blah, blah, blah. Like I really have created different ways to manage that. Okay, does that make sense to you guys? Do you have boundaries for yourself? Because a lot of times you got to like yourself, or learn to like yourself, and learn to love yourself. And then you got to have some foundational boundaries for yourself. And very often people are not setting boundaries for themselves. And so then they're trying to put boundaries on other people, and the other people are just walking over their boundaries. And I'm like, well, then you're not holding your own boundaries. You don't have to answer every phone call. You don't have to answer every email. The email I got this morning, professional, sent it back, let them know. I'm like, hey, I saved the emails. You want to see it, it's fine. Haven't heard a word back. Just because I'm spiritual doesn't mean I need to be walked on. And I think people struggle with that piece. Oh, I'm spiritual and I should just be all rainbows and unicorns. I had so many relatives. Why do you swear so much? Because it's fun. I like it. I like to do swear words. And it's just something I like. If you don't like it, don't follow my page. If you don't like what someone's saying, unfollow them. Unfriend them. I actually had social media is a great example of boundaries, because I had people that were talking shit about me out in public, and my I have such great clients. So they were sharing this like, hey, did you know so-and-so is talking shit behind your back and saying this and saying that? And I'm like, yeah, I don't really care. Like, whatever. I know who I am. My clients who know me know who I am. My friends know me. Like, I'm not worried about that piece. They can talk shit, and I know why they're talking shit. And I remember telling my coach at the time, I was like, hey, like, I heard this and I think I'm fine with it. And they're on, she's like, oh, are they on your social media? And I was like, well, I've hid them, and but I haven't unfriended them or anything, because I know people get notified about that. And I didn't want to, how did I say it? I didn't want to make them feel bad or something. And she's like, I'm sorry, what? She's like, what are you talking about? She's like, Jody, they're talking shit about you. I've even heard the shit that they talk about you. I'm like, what? And she's like, go unfriend them right now. You don't need that energy in your social media. And I was like, I don't think I've ever unfriended someone on Facebook. Didn't bother me. I kept unfriending a whole bunch of people, or I blocked people. Like I used to have people that would talk shit on my page, and I'm like, this is my work page. Like, what are you doing? So like I just blocked them. So you can stop energy like that, my friends. It's okay to do that. It's okay to surround yourself with good people. It's okay to do that. Okay? Hold on a second. I opened this door. All right. Like one of the boundaries over the next week or two, if you get worked up with other people's opinions, and I want you to be honest with yourself, if you get worked up with other people's opinions, then you should stay off of social media for the next 2 weeks. You don't need the aggravation. So we have boundaries in my own house. So I get tired at night, and 8 o'clock I'm still okay, but 9 o'clock there's certain subjects that Eli and we are not allowed to talk about because of me. Because by 9 o'clock my filter is gone. I'm tired. I don't hold my mouth well. I'm not paying attention to my best self, and I'm just done with the day. And so if it's 9 o'clock, like if we start a conversation and I start getting sassy about it, Eli looks at the clock and he'll be like, yeah, we can't talk about that. It's past 9 o'clock. And I'm like, yeah, we shouldn't be talking about that. Or if he brings something up, like last night I went to see a retreat place yesterday. Oh my gosh, my fall retreat, ladies. I can't wait to show it to you. I cannot wait. It's so awesome. And Eli was busy with projects at the farm yesterday, so we didn't really get to talk about it. And I was calm last night, and I was chilled out, and I was getting ready for bed. And he's like, hey, how was that retreat place? I'm like, dude, it's 9:30 at night. I can't have that in my brain when I'm going to bed. Like, no, it's past 9 o'clock. You should have talked about me when I saw you at the farm, and I stopped in when I was excited about it, not at 9:30 at night. And he was like, okay. And so we just had to stop talking about it, because if I started thinking about that at 9 o'clock at night, I wouldn't sleep because I'm really excited about it, and my brain would have kept going on it. So it's okay to have different boundaries around that. Like when Foster lived at home, bless my child, he loves to talk about trucks and mechanics and fixing things and hunting and all these subjects. Love that he loves them. But he would talk about them for hours. And finally one night I was like, Foster, it's 9 o'clock. We're done talking. You need to go talk to your dad now. Like, these are things you talk to your dad about past 9 o'clock. So, because I knew I wasn't present to him after 9 o'clock. And then one night I was really tired, and it was like 8 o'clock, and he just kept going and going because he was just chatty. And I was like, dude, it's past 8 o'clock. I can't do it. Like, we have to move your boundary back to 8. And we just laughed. But it was funny because I'm like, I'm not present to what you're saying now. Like, it just sounds like this to me. And he's like, well, nice boundary. And I'm like, yep. I'm just being honest with you. So you can set some boundaries in your own home too. We have boundary at the lake, no politics, because we all don't agree. And people don't hold their shit together. So we just don't talk about it. There's a million things we can talk about. And so that's one of my requests that I made a couple summers ago. And it's nice because they don't talk about it. Okay. So you got to be mindful of the boundaries for yourself, the boundaries you set for others. And if you're standing in the boundaries that you've set for others, are you following your boundaries? Because if you're not, that's on you. And I know when I'm not standing in my boundaries, because there's certain clients or certain people that will text me like way out of business hours, and they know I work in business hours. And I'm like, oh, and it has nothing to do with them. It's about me holding my boundaries. So it's funny how that shows up. So be mindful of that, my friends. Just be mindful. Okay. So does this give you just a few little tips and tricks to remember your boundaries over the next couple weeks? Because it can be dicey. Got big stuff in the world. So you want to maintain your energy. One of the ways to maintain your energy is to maintain your boundaries. And I think you got to remind yourself that you're learning. Oh, I could have handled that different. Oh, I should have done that. Oh, I could have done that. Like, I always had to try on things. Like, oh, you know what? Next time that happens, I'm going to do this. Next time that happens, I'm going to do this or this. Like, I actually needed to practice the scenarios in my mind to realize how I would handle it. And I had never done that before. So walking through the situation a little bit is helpful, because then you can try on different responses versus your reactions. Okay? Because I'm a reactor. So learning boundaries helped me be a responder. Like, one of my boundaries before I react to somebody that's saying something that pisses me off, I have to breathe. I just got to breathe. That helps me take a breath to be able to respond instead of to react. Okay. All right, friends, I'm going to save my voice a little bit because I want to come on. I'm going to try to come on every day live this week if my voice will play nice with me. Again, Spirit School doors are closing this week on Halloween. And we are doing our Witch Wound class at 6 p.m. tonight in Spirit School. So if that lights you up a little bit, come try it. Again, 30-day money-back guarantee. If it's not for you, we'll refund it. Not a problem. And you can cancel at any time. I don't like to hold people hostage. But we are doing some fun stuff over the next few months that I think you guys will be excited about. So I would love to have you be in a space where we can talk about things like this. We can get a little bit more personal in Spirit School. It's a more private space, private, safe space. And it really helps to have people that are working on the same stuff that you're working on in a safe space to be able to walk through things together. So if you're guided, please join us in Spirit School. Otherwise, I will be back tomorrow at noon, my friends. Okay, have a good day. See you later.